My oldest has special needs, and so he is a junior in high school, and
Okay.
him finishing high school and transitioning into adulthood is pretty important.
Hi, everyone. You're watching the Light of Care podcast on YouTube or listening and watching on Spotify. This podcast is about our company, FirstLight Home Care of San Francisco and the Peninsula. Our goal is to provide comfort, company, and respite care to elders in need. This podcast aims to educate seniors and their families about the resources and support available to help them live well and age with confidence. I'm your host, Lynn Carter, and today we're diving into a subject that is incredibly important for many families: financial planning for individuals with autism and special needs. We're joined by Tom Ryan, COO at Pettinelli Financial Partners, and Genevieve Cornish, Relationship Manager in Financial Services and Entrepreneurship at Pettinelli Financial Partners. Welcome to the show, Tom and Genevieve.
Thank you very much.
First and foremost, what we do here is find out who you are, where you came from, and how you landed where you are now.
I actually come from tech, so I was in many startups that you've probably heard of, Success Factors and Actuate and Okta and so on. But I just don't know how to retire. I only know how to work. So
I have someone like that.
it's brutal. I don't really like golf. I've never liked fishing. And so
Work is it.
Yeah.
Work is your hobby.
Yeah. So I've known John for a long time, and he and I were talking. My wife and I have a home in the Philippines, and he needed some advice, and I was speaking to him, and he said, "Hey, how do you like retirement?" I said, "I hate it," and he said, "Well, we may be able to use some of your skills on the operations side."
How does the financial planning process work for families that are new to this process?
So we at Pettinelli Financial Partners, we provide personalized financial planning advice, and we listen mostly to what the goals are and what the concerns are, and then we make recommendations on what people should do to increase their comfort level with their financial future. We serve a wide variety of clients in diverse industries. Naturally, where we are halfway between San Francisco and Silicon Valley, high tech is a big one, but also business owners, first responders, and the topic for today, special needs families.
Okay.
To that end, I'd like to introduce to you Genevieve Cornish.
Well, I appreciate you having me on today.
What exactly is special needs financial planning, and how does it differ from traditional financial planning?
People ask that question all the time. So special needs planning addresses the very unique costs and supports needed that come with someone living with a physical, intellectual, or behavioral disability. So if you have a loved one that will not be able to substantially earn an income for themselves into adulthood, there are different ways that you need to save or set aside money or run budgets so that they can have the quality of life that you really want them to have in adulthood.
That is incredible. And when do you think ideally families should start planning for this?
You know, as a team, we all say that it's never too soon to start, right? Like we know that the sooner you save, the more it can grow. So those are good things. But I think, you know, in childhood, one of the things families face is the added financial pressures and the unknowns. So you've got these new costs, you're navigating your own healthcare expenses, your deductibles. You may need additional supports in the home. You might need your own nanny because your child isn't capable of going to a daycare that's in your area. And so there are some new financial things. So working with somebody when you have a young child helps you put pieces in place so that you understand how to still save and not feel overwhelmed.
So what do you think are the biggest financial planning challenges families face when caring for a loved one with special needs?
There is so much new to learn. And a lot of us, myself included, can have analysis paralysis or just feel overwhelmed
Yes.
and then not start because it's
Right.
like avoidance of the big elephant.
What are the biggest challenges in people understanding what to do, and how do they prioritize their financial decisions when resources are limited?
It is not uncommon when resources are limited for people to take on some amount of debt, for example.
Mm,
And for somebody who has an emotional aversion to debt, that can be another thing that weighs on them mentally.
of
And if they're
course.
navigating that alone and they don't have clear pathway on how they'll address that over time, or fear like, oh my gosh, we're just going to keep taking on more and more debt over time, that
Mm,
can be another emotional pit that is hard to
yes.
navigate as part of the journey. So making sure that you have the right amount of life insurance and disability protection are really easy things that can be highly affordable, simple steps when kids are young. And then building your team of professionals around you slowly over time will help make sure that you have people in your corner that can help you break down the noise and make the decision simple.
So many families hear about special needs trusts and ABLE accounts, but don't understand the difference, including myself. How do you explain which each one is and which one's appropriate?
Basically, both of them are great tools that help protect money that your loved one with a disability will need for the quality of life you want to build from counting as a countable asset. And the government has limits on how much income and how many assets you can have in your name if you need access to support services like SSI. So, supplemental security income is the most common and first form. I shouldn't say necessarily most common because that may or may not be true for certain families, but it's the thing that most people hear about. And that's the once they turn 18, they can apply through Social Security, and the maximum they can get, for example, in 2026 is roughly $994 a month if they are not able to perform substantial work for themselves.
So one of parents' biggest fears is who will care for my child when I'm no longer able to, and what financial strategies help ease that fear and secure long-term care.
One thing is bring in the family to the story so that they understand what your wishes are while you're still around prior to any
Mm-hmm.
transition, but also write them down because it's such a good project to do a letter of intent. It gives you clarity on what you really dream in one exercise, and then you can start funneling what the quality of care you want is because part of it is determining the cost is going to depend on what you really want.
How do you help families financially support their loved ones' independence without jeopardizing critical benefits?
Number one way is knowing where to save and the legal documents that you need. Once we know the dollar amount that you'll need to leave your child, we can figure out what vehicles need to go into the special needs trust, for example. Will help minimize like the tax implications of that. And I think that's where things are, that's tricky and complex too. And trust
Yeah.
law changes all the time. And so we want to make sure that you understand the savings vehicles. Why, what is a special needs trust? What is an ABLE account? How does your workplace 401k look? If you have other children, what makes sense in the estate plan for them versus going into the trust based on all of the mechanics of how it can be used.
Okay, my last question for you. For families listening who feel intimidated or unsure where to begin, obviously they're going to call you through Pettinelli. What is the very first step you recommend?
Just dump out all the concerns, the fears, the worries, the work you've already done, the things you don't know. Just dump it out there
Yep.
so that somebody else can take it and smooth it out and kind of say, okay, here is for your situation the very simple first step.
Throw out there how people can get a hold of you.
So my direct line is 650-595-4600. Actually, that's Pettinelli's main line, but you'll get any one of us and they'll make sure that you get to a team member. And
Beautiful.
then for the organization, you can find Pettinelli at LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Pettinelli Financial Partners.
So thank you so much for being here, both of you. We've got more interviews on the way. For now, a huge thank you to all my team involved in putting this podcast out there. For more information, check out our website at thepeninsula.firstlighthomecare.com and follow us on our social media pages. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with the securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos Wealth Partners and Pettinelli Financial Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial.